All right, we're gonna bust into this thing. We got our drill bit. And we're going to drill into these rivets. Patoo, patoo. But I need both hands, so I will see you after I do that. Thing pulled out. So the best way to get these out is, like I said, with a drill bit. You will find if you go real fast, you melt the plastic, and then the rivets are a little bit harder to get out. Sometimes though, it actually makes it easier to get them out doing it that way if they're super stuck in there like this one was. You can definitely see where someone's been in here before. So you see the white silicone, that's not a factory shmoo of that. Definitely someone's been in here. The other ones I took apart had an actual factory rubber gasket in here. What I find most interesting is if you look at the way that clutch is set up, it's a lot different. What we actually did is we took out the old armature, whatever the hell you want to call this. So what I think what was causing the issue with the other one was these little springs up here would deactivate the system from going up or going down. And I think what was going on is they weren't fully working. So they weren't clicking. So we put these in and we held this down and we're trying to get this to click one way and the other way. The easier way to do that is going to be to put this all back together and get this and see if it's working or not. If it is working, we're going to just do a little bolt on one on each side. And that way, if it is working, we can just hit it with some shmoo again and seal it all in before we dick around with it anymore. But until then, I think we should be good. Look at all this. Ugh. Not factory shmoo. Come on. I think this is bath caulk from the looks of it. So definitely whoever was in here, I'm trying to figure out what they did. It looks like they just greased it. But they figured, well, a little dab of grease will do you. Because if you look at my gloves, like this one I had to take off because it was just basically coated in gear oil or gear grease or something. So I think that's what their idea was. We're definitely going to hit it with some dielectric up in here. This one you can see is a little bit, nicer shape. But the actual armature down in here, like or this bit right here, is a lot worse for wear on this one than it is on this one. So we're just going to try and replace this, see if it works any better. If it does, great. If it doesn't, anyway. So let's see. All right, so that's all that button back together. Let's go see if it works. This is make sure that gear, it should be turning a little bit. So this is my issue with it, is this older style clutch doesn't really seem to want to work, but the only way to really tell is if we put it in there and it works or it doesn't work. Got it fixed for the most part, kind of. I'll show you what's going on. Relays up here that control it, but we did have this problem show up. So it works. It's just a little slow, which I think is just, we'll hit it with dielectric and see if that fixes it. But we gotta reverse the wires on that one because lights off, lights on, and now it doesn't want to cooperate. But it was going down. Yep. Whatever, we'll get it fixed. It is what it is. That one works. It's hitting something, we gotta fix that though. But it works! Time to fix it. Why this is spinning the wrong way round. This is the new one, this is the old one. My daughter has decided to come and help with the disassembly. She brought me Elmo. So you're gonna hear some weird noise in the background. So we're just trying to figure out why. We thought maybe this was backwards. It is the same. We're gonna try removing this and putting this in and seeing if it'll spin the right way. We're also going to take apart this and put in the old one and see if maybe that'll fix it. But we'll see. Look at that. Pop up. This one needs some help for whatever silly reason. Come on. Come on. Don't let me down now. Come on. Oh, let's see. So there we go. Both go up. Come on. There we go. Both go down. That works. So we got the car running. Sorry for the loud noise, but the mufflers are barely working. As you can see, we got the fan working. We're kind of hodgepodging it, but this is coming off of the relay back there that we need to get working for this whole thing to work. So that's a good sign. The only thing we're trying to figure out now is why the charging system isn't working. You can see we had to put a new battery in here. The old battery was basically killed by the lack of charging. I got two different things showing me two different readings. So this is showing me that the battery's in good shape, but not charging. And this is showing me, you know, all sorts of different readings. It's saying 10 for the most part. It's saying the battery is low in it. So we gotta kind of mess around with it. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what the actual hell is going on in there. It's been hovering right around 10 for the most part. We're trying to see if the alternator is working. We got it hodgepodge back in there. So we'll see. The easiest way to figure it out, if the alternator is actually working, is to do as follows. So that just sapped most of the power in the car. And if that battery's not charging, we're gonna see this thing die quickly. You see now it's saying 9.72 and it's falling. Now it's going up. So we need to know what's going on in there. I'll show you what we're looking at. Sitting over there and charging at the moment, or maybe charging, we'll see. We're gonna pull out the old manual here and flip to, I got some pages here. So we went down there, we put an inline fuse 10 amps and an inline fuse 25 amps. We hooked it just straight up to the power right now to act as if it's the ignition switch. We don't have a charge indicator in line on one side, but this one doesn't need it on this side. So it's pink to charge indicator to brown to the alternator, and then we got two coming out, two fusible links. So what we did is we basically put a 10 amp fuse. I don't know if you can see that. We put a 10 amp fuse and a 25 amp fuse into there, and we're hoping that the alternator is working. But we're not really getting any sort of indication one way or the other. That means the battery worked. If this doesn't, or the alternator worked, if it doesn't start, we're screwed. You can hear that's a labored fuel pump. Alternator is not working. So we gotta figure out why the alternator is not charging, because it's not. This is reading 9 volts right now. Thankfully, we got a battery tender. This thing is overworked and underpaid, but shout out to these guys, because this thing has saved my ass a bunch of times. What we did is there's electrical stuff that pulls on this when it's not working. So we put in some of these quick release battery clamps, since we had to adapt everything anyway. And we're going to see why on God's green earth that's not charging. So the alternator is fairly new. It should be working. I don't know why it's not working. We're gonna have to do some research on that. But while we're working on that, we can hardwire this in. That's the relay out from there. This is our new common ground over here. We're gonna hide this back behind there, just so we have a little bit of a neat look. For that to charge, what we're gonna do is we hooked up the ground to that ground strap over there. We hooked up the hot side down here. That's not it, and you can see it come over here and kind of crosses over here. We're gonna have to drop this underneath here at some point, but it goes into a little grommet down there. It pops up, we ran it underneath the dash, and it comes up right there to the relay that exists over there. So we're gonna have to find a way to tidy all that crap up at some point, but right now we're gonna leave that out and exposed so that we can do a little bit of working on that while we need to. We need to figure out why the alternator's not working. That's kind of job number one. But since we have some downtime, we're just going to clean all this crap up because we're getting to the final stages. We just need it to all come together. So we swapped out the alternator for a one-wire setup from the Fiero when it originally came. It appears to be working. We don't really know because we're still not getting much answers out of this thing here. But I'm not sure how reliable this is anyway.